Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. We'll move closer in a moment, I promise.
We have a fun bit. Yeah, thank you guys for coming. I'm Cody.
I'm Noah.
I'm Jeff.
Okay,
And we're Bernie's Playhouse. Welcome to our debut fundraiser and our debut PowerPoint. And thank you again sincerely for coming here tonight. This means the world to us. I don't think this would have been possible without all the support we've had already. Jeff, thank you. Of the support we've had already and the support we continue to have just blows us away. I've been able to wake up and get out of bed before noon every day for a month, and that's kind of cool. So, take it away.
Okay, so our mission statement is to provide a culturally safe space for people to explore creative endeavors and find purpose through arts and media alike. Snap. Damn. That's all the bits, so.
Thanks for coming.
So if you want to kind of explain.
Well, the reason why we did the smiley face is just because we found that a lot of times art has helped us through darker times in our lives and given us a reason to keep going. And we just thought it would be a really cute, make you laugh. It did make you laugh, so it worked.
Okay, so we also thought it would be good to talk about what the arts mean to us. So basically, I wouldn't be standing here right now if it wasn't for the arts, and I don't mean that in like a dark way. I mean it like when I was in elementary school, if I had to talk in front of a group of people, I would cry, and they would have to move me into a separate room. But they wanted to hear my stories and wanted to hear what I had to say, so they would put me in a small room with like 3 or 4 other people just so I could read what I had to say. And that really still stressed me out, and the idea of talking in front of a group of people was the most terrifying thing to me. Then I went to middle school, and I was in 2 plays. I auditioned all 3 years. 2 of the plays I had a non-speaking role, and the other one I didn't even get a part. And that devastated me, and I thought that I wasn't meant to be on the stage. And it wasn't until my sophomore year that my brother Corey made me go audition for the Odyssey, and I got a part, and it was the scariest and coolest moment of my entire life. And I will never forget the 10 lines I had. I made sure the very first time that I would walk on stage that I was going to be as powerful as possible. And I'll never forget, after rehearsal, Noah and Crabtree coming up to me and saying, "Where have you been this whole time?" Crabtree was so excited that there was another Peterson there. And I will also never forget when I did my final monologue that Crabtree told me that I was funnier than Corey. I will never forget that moment my entire life. But I will also never forget my first monologue, and I will never bring that up ever. There was more apologies than actual lines that I said. But as I got older throughout high school, I met all my friends, and literally I would not be able to function if it wasn't for the arts. And by my senior year, I was basically living at the Fine Arts Center, and you could tell by my grades, because, yeah. But I was basically living at the Fine Arts Center, and then I graduated, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And it was terrifying, because I knew I wanted to do something with the arts, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was always thinking about ideas of the way I could bring it to other people to show what the arts meant to me. And it wasn't until a few months ago that Noah just pitched the idea of Bernie's Playhouse, and I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And I just knew that we had to do it. If there is a chance that we can show anyone that there is a place for you in life, that everyone has a purpose, and if they can discover it through the arts, that will be amazing, because I would not be here if it wasn't for the arts. So I hope we can show kids and young adults, and even some adults, that there's still a chance to find a purpose through the arts, or just in general find a place that you belong. So, thank you.
So I guess it's my turn. I have ADHD, and growing up as a kid with it, I did like everything, every silly idea that popped into my head, I would just do it with no thought at all.
Excuse me, can you speak louder? I have problems.
So, acting with ADHD, every idea that popped in my head, no thought, I would just do it most of the time to make people laugh, even if I didn't even think through what I was saying as it came out of my mouth. But it also was kind of hard because as I got older, I wanted people to not think I'm weird. And then I kind of just stopped doing that. I got quieter. I didn't want people to know, because then it would hurt if they got close. And so I didn't do anything like this until our friend Ben Pauls kept pestering me and asking me over and over again, do you want to join Hamlet? Because they did not have enough boys to play in Hamlet. And so I did. I tried it, and it opened me back up a little bit. And then I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I should try this. And so I joined acting my senior year, and then I was able to get more confident. I was able to speak louder, because being in front of people, you kind of have to project your voice a bit in acting to get it out there, and that will kind of build up your confidence, having to yell at a crowd of people. But it's kind of like Cody said, I kind of wouldn't be here without that, because if Ben hadn't did that, I wouldn't have met the Petersons. Without having met the Petersons, they wouldn't have introduced me to my wife, and I wouldn't have the life I have that I do now. And, you know, I kind of wonder, why did I not do it sooner? And maybe was the opportunity there the entire time? And so you don't know how important it is until you experience it. Like, one moment, one thing can change your life entirely, can change your direction. And a lot of these things that we're going to talk about can do that for people, whether it's a hobby or an actual passion that they want to pursue in a job. And so that's what it's meant to me, and that's what it's done for my life.
Thank you. Hi. I'm Noah Meadows. I feel like almost everybody here knew my dad, Bernie Meadows, who is, of course, the person we named this organization after. If you didn't know him, the reason why we did that is because he's the reason why I'm here. He truly is. And while Cody said he didn't mean it in a dark way, I kind of do. But art has saved my life multiple times and time again. Whether it was visual art, music, theater. I had no direction and no purpose before I met Crabtree. If that's a name you're hearing and you don't know her, high school theater director while we were there. Truly a mother figure in my life that I will always be grateful for. But art literally saved me from the brink of a lot of dark nights with mental health, and I've seen art change people's lives. I've seen theater change people's lives, and for the better. And I just want to be able to provide a space for people to come out and find what they're passionate about creating, and find something within them that they didn't know was there because they were too scared to express it. And that is really the big thing about Bernie's Playhouse. We want to provide a space where people feel safe to explore those parts of themselves where maybe in other times they weren't necessarily, you know, provided that space. Maybe they were bullied, maybe they were picked on, but maybe they were told it wasn't worth it. And we want to tell them that it is worth it because art will time and time again keep our planet going. We want to move on to the next slide. I'm just going to say, keep talking to y'all about my dad. A little about Bernie. He truly is like one of my biggest inspirations in this life. And it's not really the bias of, oh, I'm his kid, so of course. I watched that man break generational trauma. I watched him break generational cycles. I watched him go to therapy and take care of his anger issues with himself and not let any of that affect me. Of course, I got the other side of the coin with my other parent, but that's okay. I have a lot of moms in this room that take care of me. And he was truly an inspiration in this town. And after he passed, I heard time and time again for months, I'm still hearing it. He's been gone for over a year, and I still hear people say, oh, Bernie, what a great guy. Oh, I saw him doing everything in town. I saw him at this. He was so fun to work with here. And I had someone reach out to me on TikTok, actually, who said that meeting me and my dad absolutely changed their life, and they were able to come out and be who they are comfortably because my dad had a conversation with them while they were over at my house and just talked about loving people as who they are, where they are. And that was exactly what he did because he lived a life loving people just because he wanted love back. And he believed that the universe is made of love, and I fully agree with him. And I really, truly think that without all of this, we wouldn't be asking you to share our passion tonight. So thank you for being here.
Okay, there's a little bit later. So we want to kind of talk about, we have a 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year plan. We have been thinking about this for a long time. We know Bernie's is going to last beyond that, but we wanted to give you guys an idea of what we plan to do for the beginning, the middle, and then where we want Bernie to be in 5 years. So if we have our first space, it's at the OKM offices. It's not a huge space, but it's perfect to start off. We're going to be able to have our meetings there, and we're going to have a little podcast studio. We want to be able to give back to the community in some way, and we thought it would be fun if we were able to let people have a creative space to just like make a podcast, or we're gonna have some microphones, so if they want to come just record some stuff and talk about anything they want, we'll have that space available. And we're gonna do a Bernie's podcast that we're gonna keep up to date and keep about the town and keep Bernie's legacy and Bernie's Playhouse's legacy alive. So. And that's just in our first little space.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Along with, we'll be able to provide space for anybody who's working on a show, working on monologues for acting classes. They can come to us and we can help workshop with them so that they feel more confident in their performances. Along with anything else that's simple for us to do in that small space, whether it be visual arts or anything like that.
And we also plan on, we should mention, putting on shows.
Yeah.
We have picked out our first show already. That's all I'll say for now about that. But we do plan on doing 3 shows a year to start. We want to do a show for the community that is with kids, adults, and everyone. We want to do a show that's strictly for kids, and we want to do a show that's strictly for adults. So more adult-oriented plays, some younger shows like a junior version of a play, and then a show that involves everyone, like just Seussical nonstop. We will never do Seussical. That Shrek we will never touch. So sorry, you guys are really excited about those 2 shows.
Are we moving on?
Do you have anything else about your one? No? Okay.
Pretty straightforward, realistic year one.
Right. With year 3, we're planning, within year 1 to year 3, we're actually already looking at our second space beyond the OKM offices. And that's really why we're asking you all here tonight, because what we're looking to raise is about $30K to be able to afford the base expenses of that space for a year, along with utilities, internet, basic functioning in that space, and just one-time expenses like our podcast equipment and things like that. The space that we're currently looking at and that we're in talks with the landlords is the old International Food Store in Eastland by Paper Games and the old Radio Shack. We're hoping we get in there a little bit sooner than year 3, but we are road mapping our way through this.
And hopefully, if everything goes well, we might take over the Radio Shack too.
Mm-hmm.
They're right next to each other, and they told us that it is a possibility to open up a wall there, so we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we also plan, as soon as we get that facility, we're opening up much more than just a podcast studio and maybe a computer or two. We are going to have a black box theater that will be our main focus, that we will be able to put on shows in our own space. We're going to have a huge lobby where if someone doesn't feel like they have a place to go after school or just in general, that we'll just have a very safe feeling environment. Like it's hard if you don't know Crabtree, but like that space that we had all together was like the most safe environment I can think of. Just sitting on those old couches, they were the most comfortable things in the entire world. And that's kind of the environment that we want to have, that just a place to go and feel safe and feel like you belong. And we're going to have an editing bay, and Jeff knows a lot about 3D modeling and stuff, and he wants to offer a chance to teach kids some 3D modeling and things like that. We're going to have the full Adobe suites on the computers, so we can start teaching them how to edit videos and pictures and things like that. We'll have a shop, so we'll be able to show some stagecraft.
Yeah, we'll also hopefully down the line in year 3 to be able to get more. Right now, the age range that we can work with is 14 to 17, and hopefully along the line we can help make that lower for younger kids to be able to be involved and find these passions and projects and work with that. We'll also be able to accommodate for more differently able needs. So providing quiet spaces, things for them to decompress, or just whatever we need to accommodate for anyone. We want a space for anyone and everyone.
So,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
There's a fun day coming. Okay, year 5. This, you want to do it, Jeff? Okay, go.
We have fun.
Who knew?
Okay,
So year 5, we're hoping for, I know CMT took a little bit longer, and we understand that to set our expectations realistically, but we want to tell you our big picture dreams so you understand what we're trying to achieve here in the long run as well. We want to ultimately move into what we would call our home, like CMT has here. It's a beautiful space that we have basically already had floor plans laid out and everything, but it's going to be a massive space like the Fine Arts Center at the high school, where we have a whole hallway dedicated to the musical arts, a whole hallway dedicated to the visual arts, offices. We want to be able to provide spaces for whenever inclement weather is in town. We want to be able to open up our doors to the community who need protection and safety from the weather. We want to have what Disciples Christian Church does with the food drives that they do. They have this thing outside that's just love in a pantry, and if anybody is in need of food, we want to start trying to provide that actually probably sooner than year 5. But we want to be able to provide for the people who really need it in this town as well. We're also kind of envisioning the space to be a rather large rectangle with the inside is like a breezeway, but it's all grass and things, so that whenever our kids are in the space, that they can have camp nights looking at the stars, and there will be a big theater attached to it, much like the BHS facility. At that point, we want to have a larger staff to accommodate all of the needs that we're trying to meet as well. And
we want to have tennis courts, basketball courts, we want to plan on having upstairs will be we want to build an entire newsroom, and we want to be able to produce a little news show for the kids to put on to keep updated, like in the Bartlesville news, and just because if I had this chance as a kid to be able to just be in this space where I could film whatever I want, I would never leave. And I'm kind of designing, like we're all just designing a place that, like, what is somewhere we would never want to leave ever? And it would be if we had giant places to build movie sets, or just regular sets, or a place to just go hang out and chill, a place to just be safe. And our end goal is just to have this giant space that the entire community gets to use for whatever they need, because we will offer literally as much as physically possible. So.
And we truly believe that this is a very unique experience we're offering to Bartlesville and trying to build here in Bartlesville. It's something that I think that is a very necessary experience in this town, especially to bring more children, more teens out of their shells, provide a space where they feel like the world isn't necessarily falling apart. Because I know right now the external world at large is a very stressful place to look at every morning. And I want to be able to provide the community with something where, I mean, the arts pull us through the darkest times, and they have throughout history. And it is so necessary to provide these things and continue creating even despite the hardships we're going through, because I feel like sometimes the most poignant art we have is during hardships. And we want to, we're just very excited. We truly believe that this is something not only unique to Bartlesville, but something that we could potentially start up in other small towns that lack an arts community. We know that Bartlesville is very enriched with the arts, which is why we're especially excited to start here, along with all the people that knew and loved Dad. I feel like get behind this. But we want to provide in other small towns eventually way down the road as well, and build up all the communities in the arts. So.
Fun part.
And we wanted to make it easy for you as far as information on how to donate. If you feel like donating today, there is Bartlesville Community Foundation's website under their donate tab. Now, the only confusing part about it is that they have a drop box to select the organization you donate to. So you have to be sure to select Bernie's Playhouse in that drop box. Otherwise, it just goes to the top fund in that box. We also would be accepting checks, anything that you're willing to give and support us with, we very much appreciate.
We have a card reader, and we have cash. We don't have cash.
But also, if you're donating through BCF's webpage, since it is BCF and we are a fiscal sponsor of them, your letterhead of acknowledgement will be from BCF itself. So whenever you receive it, you're like, I didn't donate to them, I donated to Bernie's Playhouse. That is why. So.
It should say Bernie's Playhouse on
It will.
but yeah.
Yeah.
I think it will.
Yeah, I think it is. But,
That's the last one.
that's the last slide.